Meditation allowed me the ability to go into that state of being able to hear God speaking, and so that I'm not confused anymore. I know when God is speaking, when I'm receiving guidance from the divine. And why does meditation have such a bad rap? And why I believe and work with both prayer and meditation. Welcome to today's episode of my own kind of beautiful podcast, where we delve into all matters mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, bringing it together for you to be able to create a beautiful life, as is your heritage, your right, your birthright. And I am Domete Katwane, your host, and I use my own experiences as someone who's been consciously walking the journey of embodying being a spiritual being as a human, and all the experiences that I have had, the challenges that I have gone through in really being able to live a life where I feel joyful no matter the circumstances. And this is really the purpose of this podcast, to simplify complex and make it easy for you to live a more fulfilled life, because I really believe that we are living in a time now where we are all being called to live our soul purpose, to live more spiritually than we've been before, to live, because most of us have been living more from a logical mind, from our brains. And I think a lot of us are experiencing that period of disconnect, that period of just not feeling that contentedness. And I want to share how you have to, the kind of things you could do, or practices you could bring into your life, rituals you can bring into your life to be more content, to be more joyful, to have more love, and to feel and see the world from a more loving place. So today I want to take it a step further from the episode previously, which was about prayer, and go deeper into prayer and meditation. These are two sacred rituals that I practice on a daily basis. And whilst prayer is something that is widely acknowledged and practiced across religions, cultures, meditation, on the other hand, has experienced a lot of distortion and misunderstanding. And I think we need to be able to discern around especially spiritual practices. And meditation for me has been one of those practices that has allowed me a deeper understanding, a deeper connection with God and my God self, my soul, so that I actually have that ability to discern at all levels in my life. Meditation for me is something that has been misunderstood, and I want to share with you my first understanding of meditation. For me, prayer is when I consciously speak to God, the divine, and I speak what's in my heart, on my mind, and I communicate, and I ask questions, and I ask for assistance. Meditation is the state of being I put myself in order to be able to hear the response from the divine, because they are always communicating. We are receiving communication from God all of the time, but we have so much noise within us and around us, our brains, our hearts. We're always thinking, our minds are busy, the world is busy. There's all sorts of frequencies and signals going on that are creating noise that we can't hear the voice of God speaking to us. And so meditation allowed me the ability to go into that state of being able to hear God speaking, and so that I'm not confused anymore. I know when God is speaking, when I'm receiving guidance from the divine. And so I want to talk about that. And obviously I shared in previous episodes how I grew up in a very Catholic environment, where meditation was not something that has been encouraged. And in fact, I don't even remember actually it was really discouraged for me. seen as something that's practiced by other Eastern religions, and so as a Christian, not having to, not being encouraged to practice practices that are not seen to be aligned to the teachings of Christ. And yet, Christ speaks about meditation and how we experience how he went into meditative practices in the Bible, and the stories shared there. Even in the in Psalms, they speak about how we should delight in the law of the Lord and meditate on the laws or the word of God on day and night. And meditation is just that. It's about contemplating and allowing what you have read, what you have heard, to simmer in you, to really go into all aspects of your being, and you get to see how you feel about that and how it is meant to translate in your life, how you should reflect that in your life, how you should express it in your life. And so even when we hear the words of God interpreted by another person, whether it could be a pastor, a priest, if you're really meditative and you are in a calm frequency, you can actually pick up whether that interpretation of the word resonates with you, and so whether you take it or not, because not everyone who speaks or interprets the word of God may be giving a true reflection of it. And so for me, meditation is part of that autonomy, being that autonomous divine being that has a divine connection with God. And I have the ability to communicate with God, and meditation enhances it for me. I know a lot of people assume meditation to be a practice where you try to empty your mind. It's a very difficult thing to empty and still your mind, but the idea for me is just to distill the busyness of the mind so that it brings you and your heart rate down to a particular frequency where you can hear and communicate with God. And it isn't also about it definitely does assist with dealing with anxiety or dealing with depression or dealing with tiredness, because actually what happens is that when you go into the state of the divine frequency, in a meditative state, is that you actually get an infusion of divine energy, and that assists me deal with issues of fatigue, deal with issues of insomnia, deal with issues of anxiety. So it actually lifts it out of me. And I spoke about it in previous episodes as well, especially the episode on prayer, how lifting frequency is important, to lift yourself into the divine frequency, because you are an energy being. And so when you are living in a prayerful and meditative way, you are essentially always in communication and communion with God. You are not just only communicating what you think you want, but you're also receiving. One of the most difficult aspects of being human is how we actually get taught not to receive. We receive in a divine way, where you actually believe that you are deserving and worthy of good things. And so meditation is about you being open and believing and receiving the divine guidance, receiving the God miracles that you're asking for. So receiving your soul-deserved job, or the car you have asked to receive. And so it helps for me, meditation helps me to maintain that prayerfulness all of the time. So it enhances my energy body. It fills me up with the energy of love, so that I find it more difficult to sink into energies of fear and energies of anxiety. when I go days without praying and meditation and spending like time in the space, conscious space of God, I can I feel that disconnection, that discontent starting to grow. The more I consciously pray and meditate, I feel more joyful most of the time, and it really just is an amazing feeling. And I remember the first few times I really started to feel the energy and the word and the voice and of God. I can't even explain it in words. It's something, I think, when you felt it, you know what I'm talking about. And so prayer is an expression of what is in your heart. Meditation is the state of receiving what's in God's heart for you. And I think in the next episode, I'll talk about, being in that receptive state of God's will for you. Because then when you get into the nice mode of receiving and giving and receiving in that divine energy, what then happens is that you get to the point where you're actually asking God for the things that he actually wants for you. And that is where then is the miraculous point, where you become the thing that God dreamed of when he made you. A lot of us, a lot of the time, are living and expressing ourselves and wanting things that may not be what God wanted for us. We go into careers that are not in line with our purpose. And I've given a talk where I've given an example where, let's say you go into a profession, you become a lawyer, and you are a lawyer who, let's say, works in the criminal justice system, and you are someone who has to, on a daily basis, in your profession, you have to embody ungodly characteristics. So you have to be fighting, you have to be defensive, you have to be attacking, you have to be competing, you have to be tearing other people down, you have to be finding what's not nice about another. Those things eat at you, at your energy, regardless of the fact that you may justify that it's a career, and we glorify the career of law as humans, but the energy of that profession on a daily basis is one that you are manipulating and taking from other people, and you're actually taking from yourself, and you are removing yourself from being at a higher love frequency. So by the time you get home, you are quite depleted. And so if you look at yourself, your energy package over a 24-hour period, maybe 8 hours in that period, you are, deep in that negative energy. That will affect your ability to maintain a peaceful way of being. And I think a lot of us think that we can separate it. You can separate work, and you can come home and get into some peaceful mode or something, but it's not really how it works if you get down to it and you feel into yourself. And I think that is why a lot of us, when we get to a certain age, a lot of us call this our midlife crisis. And I'll talk about this in another video. We become less tolerant of being in those kind of places. A profession you once loved all of a sudden gives you such deep displeasure, and you're not excited about it anymore. And that's because it's not spiritually aligned to you, and it's not spiritually aligned to your purpose, your soul purpose, living a soul-led life. And so being in a constant meditative, prayerful state allows you to actually choose a career where you can make a comfortable living, or even a very abundant living, doing soulful things that actually bring joy and love to other people, because you get back that which you give. If I always marvel, not that I am judgmental of other people, but let's say a debt collector. I can't imagine how it feels to every day spend my day calling people and making them feel bad for owing monies, regardless of how the fact that they should pay what they owe, that does deplete your energy, and at some point in your life you will feel the need to align. And that is what walking in discipleship ends up doing to you. And I'll share another time how when I made the conscious decision to build my business in a way that is, aligned, spiritually aligned throughout, where when I talk about marketing, I'm not trying to manipulate, where when I'm choosing ingredients, I cannot choose ingredients that are not the right or the best. I can't cheat the system. I can't cheat the customer in any way. And those things in business are very a second nature, right? Because business is all about scarcity, it's all about competition, it's all about taking advantage of customers. And so it's sort of like contrary to the way business, the nature and energy of business currently is. But we are emerging now in a time where we are being called, even just yourself. And it's possible to live a joy-filled life where most of the time you are feeling joy regardless. And I'm not saying that once you walk in discipleship and you walk in a spiritual led life that you won't experience challenges. The only time you stop experiencing challenges is when you leave the earth. And the reason why we experience challenges is because we are being given the opportunity to choose love, to choose God in every instance. So allow your mind to be a receptor of God, of God's guidance, God's voice, God's energy. And to do that, to allow your mind and your heart to do that, I believe that meditation is an important practice. Whether you want to also call it a time of contemplation, journaling is also a form of meditation. It's all part of building that prayerfulness where your life is a living prayer, your life is a living meditation. And so I begin my day with prayer and meditation. Meditation really lifts up my energy so that I'm able to fill other people's cups all the time. And then I really end my day with journaling and sometimes with meditation, but definitely with prayer. And then I also, throughout the day, I actually have little alarms where I go into meditative states and I receive the energy and I connect, I feel it, the energy of God, and it uplifts me. So even if I'm going into a difficult meeting, difficult negotiation, I go in there with a higher energy, and I've seen how it's changed things, how the results of things are more positive. Not saying that everything I go after I get, because not everything I go after I'm meant to get, because there might not be an alignment, and I'll talk about that at another time as well. And just for me, that's what meditation is. It's about setting me up and being able to keep myself in that bubble of positive energy for a longer period of time. And it builds your intuition as well. Intuition is that ability, we like to simplify intuition, but actually intuition is the instant voice of God, the instant advice and guidance from God, from your soul. It's not about, we call it your gut feel, because we like to bring things down to an egotistical level, egoistic level, where it's about the power of you as a human. But in truth, intuition is that divine guidance, because why wouldn't you want to hear from and be guided by the voice that already knows everything, that can see the future potentials that you can choose and can assist you to choose a higher potential for yourself? So you want to be able to strengthen your intuition, your immediate intuition, so that you on a daily basis on a moment by moment basis, when you have to make decisions, you are able to make the right decision, the best decision for you. I will share meditations, sometimes meditation practices I undertake, because you do, and you can, when you go into meditation, first either read your scripture or ask a guided question from God, and get into the feeling of feeling it. I will share some meditations that I practice, and I think that it's important to develop your own practices, and have that confidence and build that confidence and trust. Anyway, that's my take on how I've built a stronger connection with the divine, and built my energy body, and living a more soul-aligned life, a more contented life, a more joyful life, and how I'm building on that now to be able to live a life that's more abundant in different ways, and help my kids build that for themselves as well. We are conduits of God, and God is always trying to talk to us and protect us. And so you are worthy and deserving of your own kind of beautiful life. You are your own kind of beautiful. And I hope that my sharing assists you to think and remove some of the distortions, and really create a closer connection with God and your soul and the purpose you are here. Until next time, I'm Domehle Katwane, my own kind of beautiful podcast. Thank you for joining me.